Hello, my handle for Twitter is CyberMageIA, apparently. uh, this is my first video in a while, so it's going to be a little rough. So let's change that to make the right thing. Anyway, I decided to make some videos as I go along and find out what's going on with AI as I take the dive into things. Thought I'd share my insights, so here we go. Okay, so the highlights today will be I've created a new YouTube channel. If you're watching this, you're probably watching the video on that, but you could be also watching it on other platforms eventually. Talk about where I think AI will go over the next couple years, and then I'll go over some tools. StableHorde.net, Civit.AI, Dreamlike.Art, and Willow AI, which are both new web-based stable diffusion sites that have free tiers and freemium tiers. A new tool that might be useful to you, ImageMagik, ImageMagik, geez. And then I'll go through some camera things. I'm currently using Expression Camera for this, my little version 3 of Conan avatar. I'll also talk about Midjourney's new blend feature, which really isn't a feature, it's just kind of a UI tweak. And then I'll do some comments on is AI art? You can get my unique spin. I put that at the end though, so if you don't want to listen to it, it's at the back so you can exit out before. But I've got a different take than most people, so might be useful. Okay, so oops, I go too far. AI in 2023, New Frontiers and Wars. So he can read all this stuff as I babble along. But essentially, we're starting to see stable diffusion kind of kowtow to the AI's art theft crowd. And again, I'm not going to take a stance either way. We'll see my comments at the end, which might show which way I go on that. But anyway, there's already been hundreds of thousands of downloads of Stable Diffusion 1.5 that was trained with artists. So the genie's kind of out of the bottle. Spelled genie right now. Oh well. Fix that later. So, we're not going to be able to stuff it back in. We see our first major big lawsuit. And it's kind of interesting because the YouTube video people that I watch all think this is a good thing because it'll kind of help clarify, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, which will in turn, everybody knows the rules, which they think will spur innovation because people might be sidelined because they're not sure what they can do with AI art or chat GPT or other AI technologies. These lawsuits, once they run their course, will kind of give everybody what the rules are and they spin it as a good thing. I hope so. I'll just leave it at that. This first lawsuit targets Midjourney, OpenAI, and DeviantArt. I think they want a buck an image damages. It's brought by some kid lawyer and 3 artists, from what I can tell. I'm sure more people are involved in it than that. The 3 artists aren't never heard of them. I'm not a big, art community tracker guy, so that doesn't mean anything. Open AI's chat GPT is just the beginning. There's just all sorts of stuff that's going to come out this year. I was playing with the tool. I don't have it here, but InWorld AI, where you make AI generated or AI powered NPCs for your game. You can port them into Unity or other platforms. It's, you can right now today, you can write blog posts, generate novels, obviously the art, have it chat GPT or other text-based AIs do your homework for you. There's the big push now for educational institutions to try to figure out what's AI and not, so they can slap their students if they're cheating using AI. And it's going to get into everything. This is the year of AI. I'd say what really grabbed everybody's attention, like everybody's kind of known it's been around for a couple of years, but I think Midjourney cranking out AI art that was just amazing, and Stable Diffusion since then has kind of caught up to it. With Midjourney about version 3, really kind of got people's attention, but now it's kind of like just a flag that you can put where AI just started going crazy. That was immediately followed by Chat GPT version 3, Da Vinci part of it, and yeah, it's just going to go all over the place. And we see some big investing where Microsoft is investing slash buying $10 billion worth of open AI. That'll be interesting because if the lawsuits do go through, that puts Microsoft possibly on the hook for a lot of money. So gutsy play considering, but maybe they had it all lined up before the lawsuit happened and it's not ink on the paper yet, from what I understand. I expect more big lawsuits in AI and being all sorts of spaces. It's just going to be crazy. Legal tone, I think that's supposed to say, over the next few years will set the direction. Okay, so this is my YouTube channel. I will focus on, what's going on with AI as I stumble across everything. Subscribe, like, leave a comment so my algorithm gets bigger, blah, blah, blah. 80% of the stuff will be me pointing you to tutorials and resources by others, and I'll be promoting their stuff. I might do some tutorials where I see a hole where no one's really picked up on that. I think it adds value, but most of the time I'll be talking about tools that you can use and tutorials by others. And we'll be going mostly for intro users up to power users, probably not too much programming stuff, although, I'm a software engineer allegedly, so I will be I do have the capability to go that route if I want to, so leave that possibility open, but I'm not going to focus on that. All right, so the first up, let's talk about stable Horde. Let's see if I can get out of this without breaking things. So stable Horde, what is stable Horde? It is a crowdsourced distributed cluster of stable diffusion workers, and it's at stablehorde.net. But what's really cool about it is essentially you can open up your automatic 1111 instance, and I should have done this actually. You can go to your extensions, install the extension, and reboot your command line arguments if you're running Windows, and do whatever you got to do on Linux and a Mac, and start the web interface again, and then you're able to grab a key from stable Horde here. I've already done so. They also have their own GUI, so if you don't feel like running automatic 11 on your own instance, you can grab one of you can work with their GUIs. And I think one of them actually has a full canvas where you can kind of expand things out, do outpainting. And there's also a stable Horde Flutter app. So all good stuff. So if you're kind of constrained by your video card, but you want to actually do some AI art, and one of the other big you can either run it locally but point it at stable diffusion or at stable Horde, so you can take advantage of all those APUs, graphics cards online, or you can run it with one of these interfaces. So yeah, that's cool. So check that out. I'll just leave that there. Go back to my slide here. So I did get a few errors when running this, and that could be user error to me, but watching what's going on in the background, I see some errors thrown. It still works for image to image though. One of the cool things is that stable Horde supports a bunch of models. So once you fire it up, get it working, you can go down to the script box and your image to image, toggle it to stable diffusion. I actually should have demoed this. Maybe I'll do a video on that separately, and let it run. It might throw an error, but for me it still worked. It still generated images, so very cool. And hopefully those errors with some Git updates will go away. All right, the next tool is Civit.AI.com. Go through this great list of stable diffusion models, checkpoints, safe tensors, text inversion, embeddings, etc. It's got a bunch of useful data like user ratings and number of downloads, most popular versus newest, all that stuff. Be advised, there is non-safe for work stuff, actually quite a bit of it. So when you first go to the page, all that stuff is blurred out, and I'll show you the site in just a second. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people use to generate porn, blah, blah, blah. Even with that, it's a great resource, much easier to find models and stuff than trying to go through Hugging Diffusion. So great site. Let's go ahead and, if I can, if it will let me. It's not the stupid control getting in the way. Did I close that? I did. So here's what it looks like. Again, these are, once you create an account, you can set it to display those by default. Mine's set to newest. I think if you come in cold, you'll be set to most downloaded. So there's just all sorts of cool stuff here. What I really like are the embeddings. I found a really good Christmas embedding on here. I'll talk about that next episode. Unfortunately, I found it after Christmas, but it still just blew me away. So there's all sorts of models and stuff. People mix various, 50% this, 50% that, or 20 this, 20 that, 20 that, and come up with some pretty close to near Midjourney quality for stable diffusion, both 1.5 and 2.x. It seems like most of the people here that are working on stuff are dealing with 1.5, but not exclusively. So yeah, that's a great site. So what's next? Couple newcomers onto the world. We got Willow AI and Dreamlike.Art. The Dreamlike.Art site, I believe, has a canvas where you can outcrop stuff, which is cool. The developer behind Dreamlike.Art is responsible for the Dreamlike models that a lot of people use by itself. I do, and I get great results. It's almost like Midjourney-like. And a lot of people use it to mix with other models and come up with some great stuff. So support him. He has a freemium, like a free tier, and then you can also buy credits. Willow AI works the same way, a little differently though. I mean, as far as the pricing model, we've got free and then freemium. But what they do is I guess depending on what kind of prompts you enter, they have different AI models in the back. So that kind of looks at your prompt, kind of analyzes which AI model to use. So I guess people are getting really good results from it. And then we've got good old MageSpace, which was one of the first web stable diffusion front ends that I found. That works pretty good. And they have it's free, but they have a pro version now that supports 10 models currently. Some of the most popular ones off of Civit.AI. And then, of course, we've got Midjourney. So besides Midjourney right now is the king. Will probably be king for a long time. I watch MageSpace, Dreamlike.Art, and Willow.AI. I think those are good ones to keep an eye on. So another little tool that I found is ImageMagik.org. I'm not going to go there. It's just a command line tool that you can do all sorts of image processing with. Actually, I'm going to go there. I got the gotta figure out a better way to do that. But anyway, it's a command line thing, so you can code and hook into it and pass parameters to the command line, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff. But yeah, a lot of people use what's the other one called, Burmy.net, to do a bunch of resizing. I ran into a situation though where I wanted the images to, batch, be constrained to either height or width, whatever they hit first, but yet maintain their aspect ratio. And I know there were ways to do that. I used to do stuff with Photoshop and PaintShop Pro a long time ago. I need to get back into Photoshop. I'm still okay with it, but I just spaced on how to do that, and this tool came up. Looks like a good tool. So yeah, check that out. What else we got going on? Okay, right now you're looking at the little Conan icon here. That's with expressioncamera.com. There's another one for free, Avatarify desktop. The bummer about Avatarify desktop is I couldn't get it to work because I've got a fairly new laptop with a RTX 3070 laptop version graphics card, and I just couldn't get it to work. And what's a bummer is if you uninstall it, it still leaves artifacts around. Like if I go to Zoom, which I'm using as my little studio for this first video, it'll still have the Avatarify camera, even though I never did anything as an option. There's a way you can remove that. I haven't done it yet. Expression works, but it's kind of buggy, kind of slow. Like by default, when you install it, it wants to just use your CPU to render everything. On their website, they've got all these great demos that look great, but when I use it on my local computer, and that's pretty beefy top of the line laptop from last year, it's kind of grainy. It's fun. I bought it because I had some Christmas money that someone gave me to invest in software. So I just said, okay, well, I'll throw down for a year, it's like $80 or whatever. But I don't think either of these are great resources. I think there's other ones out there. I just do not know what they are. If you want to play with them, though, check out, I would recommend expressioncamera.com. There's a 7-day free trial, though it's watermarked, and then you gotta up some bucks. If you have an older computer, Avatarify might work great for you. So check both of them out. All right. And then we've got Midjourney's blend feature. Let's see, I think I had, here's my Discord little channel. I was fooling around with it. So when you type blend, you get these little image prompts, and you can do up to 3 more. So you can attach up to 5 images. I really do not think that it's anything other than doing, your standard. I can get out of here. Don't let me get out. It may not. Look at that. I don't think it's anything really different than doing Imagine, URL 1, URL 2, URL 3. But, and it's more limited because I don't think you can put a text prompt. Maybe you can. Let's see. Blend. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's a little UI tweak. I also noticed that Midjourney has a $60 tier now, which allows you for 30 hours fast render time. That's twice as much as the $30 a month plan, plus 12 concurrent renders. There's also a really cool link to their Discord server where they've got all the meeting notes, but I guess they're kind of sensitive about that. So originally I had the link to those there, but I decided, I'll take that down for now. But if you don't have it, you want it, go ahead and message me. I'll be happy to, as long as you're a Midjourney member, I'll be happy to give you a link. I don't think it's that secret, but I don't think they want it generally out there because the David H. guy who founded Midjourney wants to be kind of free flowing with his thoughts. He gets on there every couple of weeks and goes for a good couple hours talking about AI and Midjourney's future and what their plans are. And I guess people are starting to pay a little bit too much attention, and now he's a little worried about ramifications of that. So I don't know if that'll be a continuous thing or if it'll shrink down or they'll become more secretive. But for now, it's pretty open. And listening to the office hours, you can do that on Discord, but they're going on for a good couple hours. I don't have that kind of time. So reading 30 bullet points on what was said is a good use of time to keep up on what's going on with Midjourney. All right, let's get to the big battle, and then I will shut my mouth for this one. Is AI art part 1? The too long didn't watch, if you want to exit the video now, is the answer is yes, but that doesn't mean that AI gets off the hook. Standard art, and forgive me for using standard art. I think I come up with a better term further down this Google slideshow. I just don't know how to differentiate AI art and non-AI art. I guess I could call it. But anyway, they're 2 branches of the same tree, but they're different. So yes, AI art is art in my opinion, but it's kind of like, is a wolf a dog or a dog a wolf? Before you just had wolf-like creatures, where now, boom, there's this whole different branch of a thing. and they're not they're very different. And let's get into some of those differences. As I described to somebody who was really impressed with my AI art, I said it's really only 1% me, and I think that was being generous. It's less than that. So let's talk about how AI art and non-AI art is different as we think about it. Creation time. Let's go to the extreme example. I create a script in automatic 1111 to swap out prompt descriptions, which could be anything that is the subject, the style, the distance, the backgrounds, you name it. And I hit go. And let's say I put, do a batch of 100. And then I say, do 100 batches of 100. And then I go get a pizza and I come back an hour later or 2 hours later and they're all there. Did I, as compared to somebody who's got a canvas, who's thinking about things, has a bunch of medium and paints and brushes and charcoal and pencils to create what they're doing. Me, or you just set up a bunch of scripts, hit go and leave, or go surf the web while this is going on. That's a hugely different animal, right? Materials. Basically, I'm pretty blown away. I've got a little Samsung tablet, and if I set up a collab, that's pretty much all I need. I can have like a $250 tablet, pay 30 $40 in subscriptions, maybe a little more than that, $100 in subscriptions each month, or Runway ML and some other things, and I've got a full-blown, I can code, I can create all sorts of AI art. It's just amazing, and then you can do it on your phone too, where what are the materials for a non-AI artist? You need canvases, brushes, pencils, all sorts of medium and stuff. There's a little, it's different barrier to entry for a non-AI artist. You gotta have some kind of talent. You got to be able to draw better than your average person. You got to be able to paint. You got to be able to come up with some kind of creative concept that no one's thought before. Think about things differently. You got to be able to express deep emotions that grab people, and you've got to practice. You got to pay cash for materials, maybe an education on it. For AI art, what do you need? You need a web search engine, or you can research, where to find Blue Willow or Mage.space or Midjourney. Spend a couple minutes on, hey, cool prompts for Midjourney or Stable Diffusion, and then spit stuff out. It's entirely different. Yeah. I hope this isn't sitting there the whole time. How are they the same? I think one of the things that makes AI art and artist, if you can call them that, like myself, versus traditional artists, is to really get good stuff. You have to have life experiences, you have to have emotions, you have to have, like, you got to know what to say to the AI art to bring out a vision that's compelling. Now, you can copy what other people have done, sure, and you can get great results. But long term, you're going to have some oomph out of your soul, just like a normal artist has, to really create compelling stuff, unless you're just copy botting, which you can do. But regular artists do that too. The end results look similar sometimes. I can do a paper cut illustration on Midjourney in about, I don't know, a minute. And it might look similar to some expert paper cut person in real life that took them 2 or 3 days to create. They look the same. I think the best way to describe AI art, from my perspective, is kind of the medieval patron of the arts type of model. You're the patron. You're going to the artist and saying, I want a painting that's this, 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 this. And there is an art to that. Like, you have to know how to communicate to the artist correctly to get your vision. You got to know what artists are good, what artists are bad, i.e., should I use Midjourney for this? Or if I'm using Stable Diffusion, what model should I choose? What embeddings, might I add? There is an art to that. But ultimately, unless you're a software engineer or a data scientist that came up with all this AI stuff over at Stability.AI or Google or wherever, you're not really the artist. You're the patron. Now, it might make people angry, but excuse me, I think that's the best model. Excuse me, as I croak here. All right. So is AI art stolen? Legally, no. Ethically, and I kind of hate that word, morally, but what is moral if there's no authority beyond humanity to define what it is? Anyway, the terms of service of these companies and community guidelines, blah, 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 are all lawyer tight. You know, when people signed up for DeviantArt or ArtStation or whatever, there was all these terms of services that most people like me read, click, and basically you gave away the phone. So, you know, whatever that German GAN company that went through and got all the images and tagged them all somehow, and then built these big models for Midjourney and Stable Diffusion to train on. They got it all legally. Now, did they get it ethically? No, because you know your average person, it never even would have occurred to somebody using ArtStation a couple years ago or DeviantArt or whatever that, you know, in the near future, maybe some people did, but probably most people didn't. In the near future, there'd be these massive AI harvesting things going through and grabbing everybody's art and figuring out how they made it and then replicating that or using elements of that to roll into other things. So, you know, there's the whole legal versus ethical debate. Is there a legal case? I don't know. That's for the courts to decide, not me. I think though the larger issue is, or a side larger issue is terms of service and community standards. I mean, there's so much legal boilerplate and all this stuff. It's like you're reading along. Oh, I just sold my soul to Satan here if I click this. You know, it's like I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be like a, you know, here's the legalese stuff for the lawyers. Here's a kind of legally blinding, plain English cut down version of what that actually says to a layperson type thing. Well, that's probably wishful thinking. Again, we talked about the first lawsuit. Compromise is already happening, like OpenAI taking out a bunch of artists out of Stable Diffusion too. But let's face it, the genie's out of the bottle. And I already talked about the AI arms race, so we don't want to hinder things too bad on one side of the world, while the other side of the world go, we're going to do whatever to gain ahead. And there's people who dominate in AI will have competitive advantages that are going to be hard to overcome for sure. All right, I think this is the new term I use, traditional medium artist. I don't know if that's good. We'll roll with it for now. Should traditional medium artists fear AI art / artist, if you want to call us that? Absolutely. Especially if you're like just getting going and you're like a beginning illustrator for like RPGs, role-playing games, or book covers and all that. Everybody's going to start using AI if they can, unless there's a legal reason not to. It's good enough to do it. You do it for much cheaper. I had a friend who created an indie role-playing game, and he had all these well-known artists illustrate for his game, and I'm sure it just cost him a pretty penny to do that. So most people are looking to cut costs because they're not making any money. So that's going to suck. And it's going to suck for AI illustrators, but don't worry. You know, automation's already killed thousands of manufacturing jobs, and no one really cried too much for those people, unfortunately. And now we're going to see automation start killing art. It's going to start killing coding jobs, low-hanging coding jobs, content creation, all this stuff. It's going to be transformative, disruptive, and it's going to change stuff, you know, and where that goes, you know, we'll see. I drew through some other comments out there. You can read them if you want, and I will go ahead and link this in the video description. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. You can find me at InfoSide or just search AI on Twitter. I have an Instagram account. It's just a placeholder. I'll probably throw some more stuff out if I so choose. Um, Here's some ideas for next time that I'm looking at. Do have full-time gig and some other obligations, so um, you know, I'll try to polish my videos up a little bit, but they're going to be a little haphazard, not edited, just because I can get something out there without tweaking them too much. But hopefully, I'll grow and make more time for it, so there'll be more spit and polish. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please comment where you can on Twitter or here if this was useful to you. If not, let me know. Tell me to F off. Tell me what you'd like to see. Again, this is all my journey through AI. I'm passionate about it. I like it. I'm learning about it. I'm coming in as a noob. You know, I know how to program, but not necessarily with Python, more old school C# and all that stuff. And so dealing with the newer tools that the up and coming programmers use, I think is good for me. It like to fire back in my programming career. You know, it's new. I like it. I like AI. I love art and the doors that AI art opens up for me. It's just amazing creatively. You know, so I'd hate to see it all kind of go away because of some legal stuff. I think that's not going to happen, but eyes on. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. If I can turn this off, which maybe I can't.